Okay, this one's going to be a little bit raw because my sister asked me to just speak. So I'm going to speak. When my nephew was 11, he was playing basketball on a public court. He was approached by some police officers that told him and his friends to get off the court. My nephew said, "Why?" They shouted the N word on at him and told him to get off the court. His friends got off the court. My nephew said, "Why?" They kept approaching him, and as the closer they got, he just kept asking why. He turned around and shot the ball. They got him in a chokehold, wrestled him to the ground, and cuffed him and brought him in. And they put him in an interrogation room, brought in another police officer, and said, "You are under arrest." They Mirandized him, and then when Anthony asked why, they said that he had assaulted a police officer. Anthony laughed at them. They brought in a police officer. He pulled up his leg, and he said, "You kicked me in the leg." The police officer had some type of scar on his leg that was obviously not done that day. Okay, that's Anthony when he was 11. Okay, when I was 18, me and some friends were looking for a party that we were invited to. Me and my friends were all black. The party was in the rich section of town, one of the many rich sections of town. We went to look for the party. We couldn't find it. When we tried to get out of the neighborhood, we got surrounded by a bunch of cop cars. They got out and they were screaming into the car. Nobody moved, nobody moved. Somebody just slightly turned their head. Next thing I knew, I had cold steel pressed up against my temple. And they were screaming and cussing and all of that stuff. So, what do these two things have in common? These two incidences, what do they have in common? Black kids doing nothing wrong, but being totally harassed by the police. Completely harassed. I was told recently that there is no such thing as systemic racism. Black kids doing nothing wrong, being harassed by the police. Why did they do that to me? When they got us out of the car, they drug us through town, and they took us to this mansion, and this old white lady came out and said, "You fucking idiots." I said, "Two black men in a red car. That's blue, and there's 6 of them." She got to say that. My nephew, 11 years old, all he got to say is, "Why?" She got to walk back in her house. He got to be dragged into the police station and interrogated and tried to be intimidated. Why? Because we're black. That's why. There is systemic racism. It is bullshit. And I don't care what anyone says. You live through this and tell me that there's no systemic racism. You tell me that a properly trained police officer is going to think that a taser that had already been discharged is a lethal weapon. You tell me that. And you're going to discharge 2 rounds into the back of a human being. Tell me that's justified. That is not justified. That is just wrong. That is just murder. And it happened again.